Alright guys, today we're back at it again with another Why You Should Play. So today we're focusing on Mekk Knights. So Mekk Knights, as some of you might know, have this, every single one of them, well the main deck ones have this lovely effect. If two or more cards are in the same column, you can special summon this card from your hand in that column, and as you can see there is no semicolon here, meaning this is an inherent summon. And you can only special summon a Mekk Knight once per turn this way, basically. So there's a hard once per turn on the special summon. So you can't just like special summon Indigo and then move Indigo, special summon Indigo again, which is fine, I guess. So anyways, being primarily focused on their special summons allows you to utilize your normal summon for more degen stuff, mainly because Girsu is only at 1, and if your opponent makes you go first, then you gotta have something up your sleeve, I suppose. So you can run like the adventure package, for example. So going first or second, Rite of Aramesir actually does a lot for you since you don't need your normal summon effect. If we have, for example, Iblee and Rite of Aramesir, we can activate Rite of Aramesir, normal summon our copy of Iblee, and we can use the Faithful that we get off of the rites in order to set up our Mekk Knight columns to special summon our Mekk Knights. So you can set a card so that there are 2 in a column, for example, to summon a Mekk Knight, and that's pretty cool. So the 2 best normal summons I'm aware of are Girsu and Iblee in regards to Mekk Knights. So Iblee being good because this just floodgates your opponent, I guess. So Iblee, for example, can stop like even a 2-centric deck like Spright a bit. So what a Spright player has to do if you hit them with Iblee is that they actually have to do some kind of normal summon. So like, let's say for example they have Spright Blue in hand, and then like starter doesn't work, so then their only option is to normal summon Spright Blue, and then they would have to link off Iblee and Spright Blue for a link to, and then they would then be able to activate Spright Starter at this point, which still uses up their normal summon, and they don't get to activate Spright Blue, which is, well, depending on how crazy they open, I guess. This can basically just ruin them, cause them immeasurable pain, I suppose, would be one way to put it. But I guess if you had some kind of removal for Spright Blue, you just remove the blue, and now they have to crash the Iblee. And then hopefully they have starter and like another extender in hand, which is not looking the best for them. But anyways, focusing back in on the Mekk Knights, you also have the funny, I guess you could call it a win con as much as like Despot base. So we have World Legacy Scars. So Scars has a pretty interesting looking effect, right? All Mekk Knight monsters on the field gain 300 attack defense. Alright, that's whatever. Once per turn you discard 1 Mekk Knight monster or a World Legacy card, draw 1 card. Alrighty. And then you can banish 8 Mekk Knight monsters with different names from your graveyard and or face up from your field. Send your opponent's entire hand in extra deck to the graveyard. Yeah, so that affect's a little nuts. I mean, with the after the release of the Shizu cards, not as much, but still pretty nasty. With the Shizu cards, they can do some milling after you resolve the scars, and then shuffle back some of their extra deck back with like Mudora and whatever the other one's name was. Which is still pretty rough because as it happens, World Legacy secrets can be 2 to 3 negates. Sometimes your opponent just is not aware and summons a monster into the same column as one of your Mekk Knight monsters, and then they'll have to contend with secrets. And then you can activate secrets, for example, special summon back a Mekk Knight, and then that will negate a monster effect, and then you can Indigo Eclipse to move this to a zone where your opponent's trying to activate an effect once again, or like another negate potentially. So it happens, you know, just forgetting about like Secret being a card. People might not know that Secrets is a card actually. Well, whatever the case, World Legacy Secret is a pretty strong type of interaction, but well, this isn't the only one, so I'll just read secrets out for you guys real fast. When this card is activated, you can target one level 5 or higher monster in your graveyard, special summon it. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster, negate any opponent's monster effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk Knight monster you control. So this is just a monster negate, and then you also have World Legacy Whispers. And this only stops activated effects, but still pretty strong. Does not deal with a skill drain, for example. But you do have an out to skill drain, which we will go over in a second. So we have World Legacy Key. So Key will negate any opponent's trap effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk Knight monster you control. So interestingly enough, this says negate any opponent's trap effect that activates in the same column. So yeah, this doesn't stop the activation of like a skill drain either, but what you can do is you can link summon Lib the World Key Blade Master, and then link off Lib, and then while Lib is in the graveyard, you can use Lib's effect to shuffle a card on the field into the deck, which allows you to out some stuff like skill drain, which is pretty sick. But because of how insane some of these Mekk Knight cards are, noticeably like Purple Nightfall and Mekk Knight Blue Sky, these are probably the two best, I guess, for getting your play started, I suppose. But that aside, they're just big bunguses, like, to begin with. A lot of these guys are just pretty large and in charge. So against like Spright, for example, Pool, Spright Red, these are inherent summons, so let's say inherent summon Purple Nightfall, and then if you want to chain something to this, I can just, like, if you want to try to mask onto my Purple Nightfall and then try to, like, unicorn my Nightfall, I can chain to this, and then if you negate that, that's cool. I will simply summon another Mekk Knight. I'll just summon Blue Sky, for example, or I can just activate World Legacy Memories, whatever. So there's also synergy with a bunch of the World Legacy cards. A variety of their cards have synergy, or the cards you can play. Mekk Knight of the Morning Star here actually has this lovely effect where when this card, or actually it's not a when, it's not that trash, Thunder Dragon Titan. If this card is link summoned, you can discard a Mekk Knight monster or one World Legacy card, add a World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. And there are a lot of good World Legacy cards. Straight up, like Memory, Succession, Key. Key is pretty good as well. So Key actually is pretty good for going second as well, being able to just stop your opponent's cards from activating, namely like imperms and such. You can use this to like add back a banish Mekk Knight or World Legacy card as well, with the Key to discard with, like, I don't know, Scars, for example, I believe that's used for this combo. It is like a 2-card combo, I believe, to resolve Scars, actually, but I think it requires Mekk Knight Yusou here, which is limited 1, sadly. Maybe we can get him back to 2 to 3 by next year. They've been slowly lifting some Orcus cards off the ban list, so I'm just hoping we get them all back eventually. They've moved Galatea back to 2, and Harpur back from like 1 to 3 already. So here's to hoping we get Yusou back, since they, yeah, I don't think there's too much of an issue with Yusou being at 3, right? Surely. Well, just gotta hope, I guess. So you also, of course, have like good going second options like Dark Ruler No More, Sphere Mode, and Kaijus to set up your Mekk Knight special summons, of course, to set up the columns for your Mekk Knights, and at the same time, of course, that will remove your opponent's end board. So imagine, for example, your opponent has, well, a big bungus like Arrival, 6k Arrival, boom, I kaiju it, and then I inherent summon Purple Nightfall, and then your opponent's just doing significantly worse, since Mekk Knight actually has insane grind game. Even if they max C you at this point, you're just chilling. You have Purple Nightfall with this lovely effect here, where Purple Nightfall special summons... No, it doesn't special summon. It adds a Mekk Knight monster by banishing a Mekk Knight monster you control until the standby phase of your next turn, and that effect's pretty good. It allows you to search Blue Sky, Indigo, whatever you need, I guess, and then you can Blue Sky, search some more stuff, and you're just, in general, doing better than your opponent. And, of course, having a going first option is nice as well. So, for example, like Numeron, for example, this is a much more fun interactive deck, I suppose, and it uses more brain cells than Numeron, and has more flexibility and more of a game plan than Numeron, with just, I simply activate cards, say yes, and then I will activate Numeron Network, summon 4, attack for game, because yes. So, it requires some brain power, of course, and it's interactive, which makes it fun. Probably. Maybe some decks are too interactive, eh? Is Shizu tiered? Well, at least we don't have to worry about that. Unless they've come out while you're watching this. Well, when you're watching this, I guess. And I feel so sorry for you, man. But I'm dealing with it too. But, Ishizu tier aside, let's see. You have a lot of different tech options you can actually play with Mekk Knights that are pretty interesting, because with the Mekk Knights, I should have mentioned this before, but Mekk Knights, they just special summon, and they don't lock you aside from World Legacy's memory, and aside from that, you're free to do whatever you want with your normal summons. So if you want to get crazy with it, you could even play like Math Mekk Knight. Like, why not? This actually would probably work a little bit better than you would expect. Because, well, let's see. What does Sigma effects say? You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for Cyberse monsters, so it only locks you out of... well, it only locks you out of your extra deck after this is resolved, but this is fine. Honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world. You could probably make this work if you're a psychopath. The main thing I'm seeing is that Sigma and the other math mechs, like, it doesn't look apparent yet why it would be good, but they would actually be decent as small world bridges for Gyusu. So, maybe. Well, not focusing too hard on this. Your Mekk Knight cards are very interactive and require some brain power to activate. And you also have the very funny card here, World Legacy Scars, being able to basically win you most games. I mean, it's not gonna do you much against Monarch, but this would dumpster like Flu, for example, unless they drew exactly like Robina, I guess, and you have no response, which is unlikely. So the deck can go first and go second fairly well. In both aspects, the deck does pretty well, but I'm not 100% sure if you can build it really well for going both first and second, but in most cases in Master Duel anyways, your opponent will opt to go first, meaning if you've already built your deck to go second, you already have an advantage. So your opponent, like, for example, Spright, well, you'd probably win going first or second against Spright. You can just set up your Mekk Knight stuff going first or set up going second, and what are they gonna do about it? Not much. World Legacy Secret, summon Indigo, and then Indigo move to negate another monster effect should probably just stop your opponent from being able to play. And interestingly enough, with secrets, if you're occupying one EMZ and then you with, like, I don't know, I guess Mekk Knight Morningstar, for example, and then you have just a Mekk Knight chilling in like the bottom of the other EMZ, you're effectively also shutting down any link monsters that your opponent's playing. They just won't be able to activate them because they'll need to be summoned to the EMZ first. And for example, then in that case, Spright Elf does nothing. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, if you guys want to see an actual Mekk Knight build in the future, let me know and I'll get to it. But in general, Mekk Knights are a pretty efficient engine-wise kind of deck, going first and second, and that opens the a lot of room for generics, like going first and going second cards, of course. So there's a lot of room for customization, and it depends on what you want to do, I guess. Like, you could go really commit hard to Scars, or you could commit to the going second aspect of the deck, and like, you just drop this on your opponent and it's pretty rough for them. If we activate rights, and then our opponent has any cardboard, I guess, then they're not looking to do super well, I guess. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.